Hello, Knockouts. Tanya TKO here, and today we're going to be talking about Ready to Love Season 1, Episode 8. And oh my, the drama is picking up. I don't know how many episodes they're going to have, so I don't know if we're at the crescendo of the drama or if the drama is just reaching, it's just starting to begin. So nonetheless, so this is the episode where they went into like a reality style house, six women, two men, and personalities start flaring up. Some arguments start happening. And so, this is my take on the episode. I'm Tanya TKO, self love specialist and relationship expert from TanyaTKO.com. I help you learn to love yourself and each other. So, I'm going to just give my overall opinion of this episode. I thought this episode was just built on a really shaky premise that's just meant to incite drama. And the men, I don't really feel like the men went into this episode wisely. I think that part of the issue that we have in relationship is that we're not honest enough. We're not having the tough conversations. We're not laying it out there as it is. The way these men should have handled this situation or could have handled it is, so each man has, I believe, two women, if not more, because I think that some are trying to overlap, like Tiffany, right? So each man has two women. And so they're inside of this home and they're going to be there for the weekend or however long they're going to be there. And instead of really coming in responsibly and maturely and sitting and bringing both of the women that you're going to be there on the weekend with and having a conversation with both of them and kind of seeing how we're going to divide the time, because if at the end of the day you're looking for a wife and she's looking for a husband and you're ready to love, so you're in this situation, we're all here for the same reason. So let's use our time wisely to be able to get to know one another. If they would have said, if each guy would have said, because like the episode starts and Alex is in the kitchen hugging up on Ashley and kissing that, like they're already a couple, kissing up on her neck and all, you know how guys do when you're at the stove. One of the things that I was impressed by is that Alex and his jaw hasn't been looking very cracky these past two episodes. So I give him some credit on that. He was cooking in the kitchen. I was like, yeah, go boy. And then here come Ashley. Took the pot and all this stuff out of his hand and was like, now see, I didn't expect to be here cooking. And I was just like, oh God, it's whatever. So let's go down my list. All right. So here we go. Before Angel even gets into, before oh no, not Angel, before Tiffany even gets into the house, she mean mugging, her face is all, she's all dour and everything. So Alex goes from this fun bubbly environment in the kitchen to when Tiffany walks in and it's just like this somber mood. And even I am growing tired of her, just her dourness. It's like I don't like arguments that linger. And part of the reason and part of the clash that they're having is that they're not really diving in. When you're having a disagreement with a person, you have to remember words, everybody has a different definition for their words. So it's important that in an argument, you ask a person what it is that they're hearing. What are you hearing when I say this? What are you experiencing when this type of thing takes place? What are you going through? Why is it that you need this? What does this mean to you? And it's like if you can really understand your partner and really understand, because like sometimes we're having an argument and we don't really, we're having two completely totally different arguments, or there are a whole bunch of other things that are going on and underlying that really are causing the friction. And I just wish, I'm like, oh God, this is like the third episode where they're still going through this, all about him not calling and this, that, and the other. And I wish that they would just get to the nitty gritty. And it's like what happens all too often is that it just gets drawn out. Like, let's just dive in and figure out, why is this troubling you so much? Apparently, she was in a situation before, well, blah blah blah, whatever. Let's talk about that so that he can understand what this means to you when he doesn't show up in the ways that you need him to show up in. So Angel comes into the situation talking about, you can't really worry about who the current woman or the past woman or the, and I was like, you can't worry about the current woman. And I was like, okay. So then Aaron is on the couch hugged up with her, and Stormy's in the kitchen, like, I don't really know what's going on. And so this is what I'm saying. Bring the girls in, have a conversation, see if one person wants it, see if you want to split it up, half the day with this person, half the day, half the other day with the other person, and then reverse it the next day so that you spend the morning with that person, because it's like you really have to get. Ugh. All right, so let's go forward. All right. So when Tiffany came in, there was this heavy energy, and then Mr. Country oh, I wanted to show you all this because I was like, you know what? Listen, when he walked into the door, I was like, see, they think I'm joking when I said that the man looked like Popeye. He really does. So here, I got this. I pulled up this. I took this screenshot, right? I took this screenshot. Tell me, can you see it? Can you see that? Look at his face. Can you see it? Can you see? Oh, good that you can't see it because of the light. Okay, what about right here? Okay, so he looked just like Popeye. Brutus. He looked like a combination of Popeye and Brutus. Tell me he doesn't. And it's not that I like, because look, he was looking really good in his hooded outfit. Like, he came out there with the red hood on. He looked like a boxer with the big muscles popping out. He was looking good. But you can't tell me he does not look like Popeye and Brutus mixed together. You can't. So nonetheless, so when we want to talk about sexy, he was looking sexy in a way that just grabs you. Unlike Aaron, who was there on the first day lifting up his shirt like, hey, I'm a whore. Look at the whore. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, ugh. I just wasn't feeling that. So nonetheless, then we have Shay in there giving advice to Stormy. And I'm like, Shay, don't give advice to Stormy when you are in a situation where you're not even being honest about what it is that you truly want and need from this person, or what it is that you're willing to give. So I was like, I was like, slow your roll. Sometimes ourselves are the hardest people for us to see. So going forward, Tiffany just has so much masculine energy. I'm just like, I, 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 she, like, even when she comes over to the pool, she's like, yeah, got real over there. And I was like, oh, really? Dear, oh dear. And then when Alex came down and pulled Tiffany aside the second time later on, because this was when he was like, I've had someone better than you, in the heat of the argument. Then he pulls her aside, and Ashley is like, he's not even taking into account that he has a whole other person over here, and she's starting to feel a type of way. So this is what I'm saying, conversations in the very beginning to set the expectation. And it's like, they're just not, the guys are just not getting it. Then Mike is closed up inside the room. This is what I'm saying, just drama. Closed up in the room with Shatava. How the door got locked, who knows, right? So people are trying the door. They're like, oh my goodness, it's locked. Ashley talking about 7 minutes in heaven. It's just ridiculousness. So I was just like, ah. So if like, they're talking about cancer and stuff in there, and the people trapped outside the room not knowing what's going on. This is why I'm saying it would have been so good to just set the expectation. One of the things that I really kind of marveled about is that the men were real cool with each other. They still sitting back like they were at the lounge, at the cigar bar. And I think because the dynamic is different, and also because the expectation is different. And I think, I don't know. There's something just going on with the ladies of this show, that they're not really being realistic. They're being really territorial, really emotional. And I see some of that from you ladies in my like when I did the video about cheating, how some of you were just being irrational, not really wanting to hear and listen. And I'm just like, okay, is that working for you? Is the behavior that these people are exhibiting in this house for the women, is it working for them? They're experiencing stress. They all, well, one girl is, Stormy's calling Courtney, who ain't even there, to get the lowdown. And Stormy's still talking about, how many times Stormy going to talk about these red flags? Everybody knows Oprah and Maya Angelou's quote, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. So it's like Aaron has been showing himself, and she's still talking about, I see some red flags. I see some, when I see red flag, well, it wasn't a red flag when that man, that bottom wall, was sitting up there inside the restaurant talking about these other women like dogs, and you were talking about what your father said then? I was like, come on, Stormy. And then I was just the whole premise of the thing is just so ridiculous, right? I just so anyway, so what else? So what else? So what else? So what else? What? Oh, I wanted to say this and make sure that I didn't forget it. When because we were talking about this a second ago. Remember when he like pulled what's her name outside, Tiffany outside to have the conversation with her, and he was like, "That stuff I said earlier was just my defense mechanism." No, in the heat of the moment, you really say what you truly feel, but that's another story. Um, my whole issue is that these people are having this ongoing, lingering fight and argument. And then after the argument, then he's like, that dress just looks so good. Look, you got my eyes wandering. And this is what it all boils down to. It's like the amount of tolerance that a person has for just stuff that's just not healthy and functional because they're physically attracted to this person. If if he wasn't, because like look, what's that woman's name, the one who was pretending to be younger, and I meant to say this in the other video, when I meant that Shantae shouldn't have been on the show, it wasn't so much because she's lying about her age, which we don't really know, but we kind of do, right? It's because she just came in there just real aggro, just not really feeling the process, barking on people, talking about who ain't good enough. She just really didn't come in there open and ready to love. Speaking of how Stormy's crying about her ex who cheated on her and how she was broken for so long. I'm like, honey, it doesn't seem like you've healed. So now as we've gone through this process one by one, like dominoes, each one of the women is just expressing all of these different things, which are showing that none of them are ready to love. Not one of them. Has there been a woman on there who hasn't cried about what her ex was doing to her and how she's still suffering in this pain of that? Ugh. So nonetheless, so yes, if he wasn't as because like when Shantae went off on Aaron, she was eliminated next round. But now, he's all attracted to Tiffany, so he's going through these motions, right? And I'm just like, it's like this is what it's all boiling down to. And Ashley, the man has expressed that they haven't really had deep conversations. But Ashley's so busy trying to be the fun and bubbly one, doing the hip bump and all this other stuff, that she's really kind of setting herself up because at the end of the day, people are going to go with their patterns. It's like when we start to get into relationship, like when people are asking these relationship questions and they're sending me these things, right? You're expressing your truth through what it is that you're transcending through in this situation. Let me give you an example, right? So now we're at the beginning of this relationship between Crackjaw, I can't remember his real name, between Crackjaw and Tiffany, Alex, between Alex and Tiffany, right? And they're arguing, they're going through this stuff. She's chastising him. She's giving all this aggro energy, right? All this masculine, aggressive girl energy, right? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, as a relationship expert, as a trained life coach, he is entering to this situation and there's something about that feels familiar to him. We're all going to settle into our patterns, how we first learned how to love. So perhaps the relationship that he has with his mother, maybe his mother is overbearing and critical. So that what we do is we enter into these relationships and we're like, it feels familiar to us. We're not really sure why, but it feels familiar. There's something about it that just feels like a nice worn sweater. The ones with the frayed sleeve and the holes and the string for the hoodie has already popped out, but it just fits just right. And it's like we enter into and we see these patterns, but there's something about it that just feels familiar and comfortable. And we may not like it but it feels familiar. So what we do is we say, you know what? I'm going to heal this time. This time it's going to work out. It didn't work out between me and my mother. My mother died. My mother left me. My father wasn't there. But in this relationship, I'm going to prove that I'm worthy. I'm going to prove that I'm good. I'm going to prove that I can have people stay with me. I'm going to prove that I can get this person's attention back. I'm going to prove that everything can be smooth. And so we enter back into these patterns. So now here we have Ashley dancing and winding up on the guy and trying to be easy breezy. Meanwhile, this guy is gravitating towards this situation. And this is how girls end up being the side chick, because we have a guy there who's acting out his patterns in this relationship. So he's acting out his patterns. And meanwhile, he comes to you for the relief, for the release. Because like how Alex was like, he's so frustrated. He got this woman, he got him all bound up. He's frustrated. So this man needs some release. And here's Ashley with the hip bumps and the tight clothes and the look at my little girl jeans and like a cheerleader kicking up her legs and allowing all of these kisses. So he's able to get that affection. Like he came into the house getting that affection that he's starved. He's affection starved, getting that affection there, but not really having any depth with her. But it feels good to be able to get that need met, that physical need. We all have this need to be hugged and loved, right? And so this is how girls end up being side chicks and not really understanding how he could be in this situation that has him so aggy. I mean, well, you're calming him down. You're giving him that peace and that release that he needs so that he can go back into battle with this other woman. You know what I'm saying? This is part of the reason that I recommend that nobody get with a married man, especially if he's talking about he's going to leave his wife, not while you over there giving him all the comfort that he needs to go back into battle another day. No, baby. No. Let that because sooner or later, the frustration is just going to blow up. Listen, men are not going to let me put this a different way, right? Far too many people are in relationships with other people that they don't really gel with. They're not meshing. This person is not somebody that they can talk to, but they're acting out this pattern, looking for healing in this relationship to heal these parental issues that they have. So they're in this relationship like, I'm going to fix it this time. I'm going to be lovable. I'm going to be worthy. I'm going to be good enough inside this relationship. And they're not really finding a person like he's like, by negative energy. Right. But then you were holding the hand of that quote unquote negative energy to pull her aside to make things all right. And then at the end, you get the laughter and then that dopamine rush, that reward. This is how so many people get into these arguments, and then to let off all that frustration, they start having sex afterwards to get that release, and then they get that dopamine rush. So it becomes addictive, and then this pattern becomes formed. So now here we have this pattern again. And so in this relationship, and then you know what? Shay is playing herself. One thing, ladies, if your big sister could tell you anything, one thing that you do not want to do is you do not want to ever chastise a man in front of a group of people. As a matter of fact, whenever it is that you want something, like I went to a party with a girlfriend of mine before I left California, and we had bought our tickets beforehand, but no one knew it. They were selling tickets at the door. And she starts announcing in front of everyone, oh, I don't have my ticket, this, that, and the other. And the organizer was embarrassed because it's like, there's a lot of people here. I can't do this for you and not do this for everybody else. What are they going to think of me? When there's an audience, people start wondering, what are you going to think of me? What face am I putting forward? Is this going to happen again? Is it going to be worse? Are people going to think I'm the weakest link? So then the organizer was like, no, I'm sorry, you got to leave. And then I asked the organizer if I could talk to her privately in the corner. And then I used, my tactic. trying to figure out what is it that she needs. What is it that this situation is bringing up for her, and what is it that she needs? If you go into an argument or a negotiation trying to figure out what the other person needs and then present what it is that you need, what are they hearing? What are you hearing? What do they need? How can you both come together to get each other what it is that you need? So then I came, even though the organizer in front of everybody was like, no, no, you have to go, you have to go, right? After I spoke to her, found out what it is that she needed and how we could meet in the middle, she came back and was like, okay, and she allowed my girl to stay and pay at the door, even though nobody else was able to. So one thing you never want to do is you never want to get into an argument with a man in front of other people. You put him in an impossible situation, and you put him you allow people to come into the situation to then judge how he handled it. And I appreciate the way he shut that down. The same way Aaron could have shut that down in the bake shop with Shantae. You know what I mean? It's like, as a man, because it's like, part of the reason that men are very chummy and they don't argue with each other very much is because for men, arguments can become very deadly. Once that testosterone is riled up, and there's really it's like it's life or death for men with arguments. You know what I mean? It's like you could either live or you could die today. You know what I mean? So it's like men are more prone not to engage in arguments. Women, on the other hand, a cat fight is not really going to end your life unless you're from New York. You know what I mean? Okay, sorry. Well, people got razor blades in the inside of their cheeks. So no, but listen. I'm gonna be serious because I'm gonna get out of this video because I want to upload it without it being too long. But don't argue with a man in front of other people. Control yourself and pull him to the side, because when it comes to friends and other people, you don't want them, because what, people who are not in your relationship don't have the luxury of knowing all the good things that may exist in a relationship. When you argue in front of other people, you got other people now like, that couldn't be me, or that woman out of control, or like how you heard Shatava talking about how Shay would wear the pants in that relationship. So then you got people now, they looking at you like, like you got two little great balls. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I wish I had my avocado seeds that I had in Los Angeles. So listen, I'm gonna get out of this video. Now you guys got me waiting for episode number 9 then, but I'm gonna give the review. I don't know which day the show comes on, so give me a reminder when it's about to come on. And let me hear your thoughts in the comments. What did you think about this episode? What did you learn from my review that you all keep asking for these reviews? So tell me how you feel about it below, and I will see you guys after episode 9. All right, Tanya TKO, and I'm out. Peace. Go out there and love one another, but most importantly, what? Love yourself, honey. Love yourself.